And we're back, folks, on another edition of the Michigan Recruiting Insider. The Wolverines continue to do it. And what do I mean by it? Continue to bring in top prospects from across the country this spring like never before. And today is no exception. Mr. Jackson Ford is with us today, one of the top defensive prospects in the land from the Keystone State, Malvern Prep, with us today. And basically, you're the only one. You're the star of the show today, Jackson. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing great, man. I'm glad that you could be with us. And so, you know, Michigan has a long lineage of outstanding talents that have come from the Keystone State. So it's a home base that they like to harvest from. And now they're back over there looking at you. Now, before we talk about them specifically recruiting you, though, I want to get back into your journey in football on the gridiron. So let's go back to your roots. Talk to me about your growth in the game, how you started, when you started to realize, man, I'm actually kind of good at this game.
So I would definitely say my freshman and sophomore year were a little slow recruiting-wise. I was at my local public school, so I was at Phoenixville. And I got my first offer from Maryland going into my sophomore year. I went to a bunch of camps my freshman summer. And Maryland offered me after a camp. That was my first offer, but I didn't start getting offers until I transferred to Malvern. So I did half my school year at Phoenixville, and then transferred to Malvern Prep at the second half of the school year. And it was kind of those morning spring practices where the coaches would come out, watch us play, got to talk to you a little after. That's kind of where it started taking off, my recruiting. And then when I started to it was serious, was definitely the summer. We went to a bunch of camps. We went to Rutgers, we went to Penn State, and I got offers from those. And it was like back-to-back days. So July 25th, I got Rutgers. Mm-hmm. July 26th, I got Penn State. And after my Penn State camp, James Franklin came and offered me himself. And I think that's why I was like, oh, this is kind of crazy. And then exactly 5 days later, I got an offer from Michigan. So in less than 7 days, I got Rutgers, Penn State, Michigan. And I was like, oh, I think I can do something with this.
So when you make the decision, I mean, to leave your local school, that's not small, right? I mean, you're leaving home, so to speak. You're leaving the nest. Was that an exposure thing? Like, hey, if I'm gonna be serious about this, if I want to take this to the next level, I might have to, or I have to branch out in order to do that?
Yeah, 100%. That's definitely what it was. That was kind of the reason for moving. We were kind of on the edge. Like, there was a bunch of schools that we were looking at. St. Joe's, Roman, and then LaSalle. Malvern was actually our last one that kind of came up. My mom's sorority sister my mom told her that we were interested in leaving Phoenixville. So it was like, there's not much we could do there anymore. And she was like, well, Malvern is a great school. It's close to home. My son goes there, and it would be a perfect fit for you. My mom's big on education, so the fact that Malvern's one of the best institutions, not only in Pennsylvania but in the country, she loved that. And then my dad was in love with the football program and the Coach G, great coach. So it was kind of a no-brainer for us, and it's 25 minutes away from home, besides having to go all the way to Philly, which is, an hour, hour and a half for all those other schools. So it was a no-brainer for us, quick switch. And the real reason for moving, though, definitely was the exposure in the football. Competition-wise and my growth as a player, it wasn't getting any better. After my sophomore year, I was kind of that was it. I kind of stayed the same. I didn't really get much better as I would like to, and the competition wasn't really pushing me to get better. So that's when my dad was like, I think it's time that we move him. And so we moved to Malvern for my junior year, and I played my junior year there, and I think it was the best decision for me.
So let's talk about growth. When you look back at your growth over that season, from then till now, kind of break down for me where you've seen the major strides. Where do you see your game being different, the most growth?
So in high school, from that high school journey. So my freshman year, I was coming from middle school, and middle school you're just kind of bigger and stronger and a little faster than everybody. So it wasn't there was no technique. It was just just be a man child, just really just wreak havoc because you can. Freshman year, that's when I started going against seniors and juniors who been in the weight room, much bigger than me, much tougher than me, hit harder than me, run faster than me. So that's kind of when I started honing on my technique. And that's probably when I saw the most growth, because I couldn't just, if I wanted to get past them, I couldn't just try to run through them. Maybe I had to hit them with a step or use my hands a little more, you know. So that's definitely when I saw the most technical growth, was my freshman year. Then sophomore year is kind of what I was talking about, like the growth wasn't there. Like I kind of got to that point where my growth, where my technique was getting good. It was something I really worked on during the off season, during the season. So sophomore, I was kind of just killing competition, offense, defense. It kind of just all clicked for me. And then junior year was probably the second time I felt like the most growth, because now it's I got the technique. Now these coaches are honing it even more. They're making my technique 2 times as better as it was, you know, previous. So and then to go with that, I'm going against D1 competition, game in and game out, and then I'm also going against it in practice. So that just 10 times, tenfold, just increased my game by levels I didn't even think it could, you know. Increase.
Yeah, so no off day. So every day you're competing.
Every day every day you were working, and if you were slacking, they were coming for your neck. So it was it's a competition, and it's also for Malvern, it's a competition on the field, but it's a competition in the classroom. So you always gotta put your best foot forward if you want to, you know, succeed.
All right, so now for people who haven't seen you play, who haven't watched your tape or come to your games, I love having guys give a scouting report, and don't think that it's like being boastful or bragging, but if you were watching yourself and you were a scout or you were a coach, and you were breaking down Jackson Ford, kind of give me that scouting report. What do you see?
I like, the one thing I like the most about like my highlight tape is like I put plays on there where it's like relentless, like hustle, like nonstop motor. And that's kind of what I pride myself on, and that's kind of what we work in our program. Like there should never be a moment on the field when you're playing, you're not running to go make a play. If the ball's over here and you're over here, you got to go run across the field and make the tackle. If you're not blocking to the whistle, then you're not doing your job. Like there's no reason you should be stopping. So that's probably like the number one thing I like about my tape is like I'm whistle to whistle, sideline to sideline. Like it's a nonstop motor. And then like my physicality, that's like my second thing. I think I'm a pretty physical player. I don't run from pulling guards, give them a shoulder. I love destroying blocks. When I get to the quarterback, it's not like soft, not pushing them down. Like I'm wrapping up and I'm throwing them. Like a lot of my hits are, they're big. And probably the final thing is like the speed I just play at. Like sometimes I think it's like cool to look at myself. So I played the season at 235 and I look like I'm moving. So that's like, I kind of just get excited like watching myself like I look kind of fast here. I look kind of fast in myself.
I hear that. Hey man, it's not bragging if it's true.
Yeah.
That's what I like to say. So now as you look at the next step, because look, if you aren't improving, you're going backwards. What's the next step in the improvement, if you will, the next level of growth for you?
Yeah. So first, like I gotta like set landmarks. So I gotta like you know where do I want to be when the season starts? And I'm so thankful to have like all these opportunities because I've been able, you know, I got invited to a pass rush retreat in Louisiana during the Super Bowl. And I got to see all these top talents. And then I play on a level 82, little national 7-on-7 team. And I went to Dallas last week, and there were dogs out there. Like receivers were very talented, tight ends super talented, and the DBs were extremely good. So kind of just seeing where everyone else is at, it kind of makes me want to set really high goals for me. So we started getting in the weight room a lot more. We're 4 times a week, and then once a week with my team on Saturdays. And then we have me and my mom. We're getting into she's doing Pilates. I'm trying to do yoga at the Y, and then just working on like my flexibility and my balance. Those are key things that we're trying to hit on. So getting stronger, getting more flexible, and being more under control with everything. And then during the summer when we get back with the team, that's definitely when I'm going to start working on more of my technique.
Man, you got grown man habits, young fella. I saw Will Johnson started doing Pilates.
Yeah.
He was talking about, the past couple of years, and he's getting ready to obviously go in the draft, but that's part of his training regimen before like practice or in mornings before workouts. He goes and gets he does Pilates. Like I think he got some of his teammates in there. Yeah. So you're well ahead of the game in that regard. So now as you get into recruiting, you mentioned picking up those offers. Before it even starts and you start looking at schools from a recruiting standpoint, did you start out as a fan of any of these schools?
I didn't start watching college football until maybe like last year. Like really, I wasn't big on college football. I knew like college football players, but like I wasn't like, oh, like every Saturday I was so hyped to turn on like, you know, the Penn State or like Ohio State or Michigan game. Like it was kind of just like, if it's on, I'll watch it, and like, they're good guys. But I was never like, oh, I'm a diehard fan of this team. Like I was just like, college football is cool. I was more of like a Sunday type of guy.
I got you. So who do you as a player then, if we were to turn you on and look at you, who would people say, hey, Jackson reminds me of, or who do they compare you to, or who do you compare yourself to, if anyone, or try to emulate?
That's a good question. I like to say Chase Young, just because he was just a dog though. But yeah, I like to say Chase Young because he was like strong, he was quick. I feel like I can do both, and I can use finesse as well. So like a Chase Young or like a Micah Parsons at Penn State, like quick and strong guys. Like,
Yeah, so it's interesting that you mentioned Micah, because that's what I see. Like Micah, and the way that he's used is kind of like the new wave of edge guys. Can play, he can put his hand in the dirt, you can move him up and down the line of scrimmage, and he can play off the ball and wreak havoc. And it seems like you have that kind of versatility. Do you feel that way, and our schools kind of telling you that?
Yeah, and we kind of put it into practice at my school. So not only was I doing it during the game, but like during practice, I wouldn't even play defense end. We would, when the offense was going and I wasn't needed, I would go on the defensive scout team and I would play outside linebacker, or I would play nickel, and just working on coverage, working on, you know, standing up and kind of getting out of the 2-point stance. It was all things that we're already practicing, getting ready for, and I enjoy it much more than just being like I can only get off the line or put my hand in the dirt type of guy. Being able to do everything, it makes the game a little more interesting. So yeah, it's definitely something I can see myself doing.
Yeah, so I mean that's what the pro teams, like all pro teams, are doing that with guys now, right? And colleges can get guys like that are copying. So now as you get off into your recruitment, is that what most schools are telling you, that they're going to use you that way?
Yeah, so some schools will say because of my frame, they could probably put more weight on me, and so that they could see me being a hand in the dirt, but also just because how like mobile and well I move, like you can do. They're saying like I can play either position. Like that's like kind of the most common response I've gotten. Like, oh, your frame's good, we can put weight on you. You can be a lineman if you want, but like you have the ability to stand up and make a play, you know, from that outside linebacker position. That's probably the most common thing I've heard from all these schools.
Do you have a preference?
Not really. I like to say as long as I get on the field, that's my preference. But nah, I've been playing on the line my whole life, so it wouldn't really change. It wouldn't be like a huge world, you know, ending experience if I just stayed on the line. But being up is cool, so I mean I can't really complain either. Options sound great.
Gotcha. All right, so you mentioned picking up that Michigan offer. This was after Rutgers, after Penn State. I think you said 5 days after Penn State. So the Michigan offer comes in. Had you heard from them at all, or was that out of the blue that they offered you?
No, it wasn't out of the blue. So after Penn State, they started following me, they started texting me, and we kind of were talking all week. They were watching my film. I was getting to know some of the recruiting analysts and some of the recruiting people, and then my position coach. Like we've been talking all week, and so it was funny. Mr. Popper, was the guy Sam.
Yeah.
That's who I was talking to. So I was at Delaware. For that's where my high school was having our summer camp at. So I was at Delaware, and he was kind of we were talking about like, did I like Delaware? Like, how's the camp going? And I was like, yeah, Delaware's cool. I like their color scheme. And he was like, well, you know, Michigan has the same thing. We do the same thing with our helmets as well. He was like, I think you look good, and I think you look good in that uniform. And I was like, yeah. I kind of laughing like he's joking. And then he was like, yeah, man, I think you look really good. You know, I haven't been able to talk to you all weekend and watching your film. I think you'd be a great fit, and we want to, you know, give you a scholarship to play at Michigan. First, I couldn't believe it. I stopped what I was doing because we were walking to lunch. So I was outside, stopped, and I was like, oh my goodness, like thank you so much, and then I went on mute and I did like a lap around around the thing. I was pretty stoked. I was pretty hyped. But and yeah, that's how that Michigan offer happened. Yeah.
All right, so then you've had some visit experiences,
Yep.
so, including this latest one. So let's dive into, now that you've had an opportunity to experience Michigan, what have been your biggest takeaways from this latest one, especially? What do you like most about this program?
Just the opportunities and kind of the culture here. The culture is kind of the same thing, the same practices that we preach at Malvern. So it just seems like it would be an easy fit for me. Like the team over me, it's like it's everywhere in the weight room. They have it on the big screens, and that's like what we preach at Malvern. Like no one person's bigger than the team. The coaches here, we got to sit into a couple meetings yesterday, and the way they coach is pretty good. It's simple. It's kind of straight to the point, but you're not really trying to like hurt anyone's feeling or call anyone out. You're really trying to help them learn. And so they have team meetings, but what Coach Espo was showing me yesterday is kids will come to him one-on-one and privately to kind of ask questions that they didn't want to ask in the group, and he's totally open to it. And he's available when you need him to be available. So like a coach like that, that's huge, and that's what you want to see. And then opportunity is, the weight room is state of the art. I feel like I've never been to a weight room and they have a hill in their in their weight room. That was insane. And then it's not only they have a hill. The weight room's 2 stories. So you have this with all the weights, and you go upstairs and you have more machines, and you have treadmills, and you have rowing machines, like all this stuff. You have like a 0 gravity treadmill. Never in my life have I seen that. Like it's like they have all this insane stuff to like give you the best shot at reaching your body's full potential. So that was amazing. And then not only that, we met with the nutritionist and her staff. They have everything you need to be successful. You'll never go hungry at Michigan. They have a food plan for you, and then they give you a budget to go get food that you may want on your own time. So the opportunity at Michigan, it seems like it's endless, and it seems like it's almost impossible to fail.
So what about the connection with the people? I mean, the pieces that they put in place for you to take advantage of are obviously state of the art, but then it's a people game.
Yeah.
And so what about the relationships that you are forming? How are they doing on that front? Because you're doing that at all of these schools. So for instance, with Coach Espo, what's the connection like with him so far?
Yeah, Coach Espo is great. He spent countless hours just getting to know me and my family. He talks to both of my parents a great amount of time, just catching up like they're friends. They talk about the kids and all that, and then me. He talked about he likes to ask me what I'm doing from time to time, and what I have going on this week. And then you talk a little football during the season. We were talking a lot of football. And then, Mr. Popper and Daniel, like, they're always there, I feel like. And they always, if I need something, especially here, if I need something, just call them up and they're in there, bam, like ready right away. And then if I just have a question about the program, like I was asking 2 weeks ago, I think, I was asking kind of about the Ross School of Business. You want to do business? So I was like, oh, let me ask Daniel about, like, what it picked up right away, chopping it up. Like, I feel like they're always available, and they're great people too. Everyone that I've met here, whether it be a player or a coach, just great person, great attitude. Always feel like you would never they always lift you up when you're here. And everyone's a competitor. Last time I was here, I was just bowling, just by myself waiting to get to the next station, and some tight end came and started bowling with me too, and we had a good little game before I had to leave. So everyone here is just fun, like bright, happy, like it's great.
What was that? Was that the barbecue?
No, I was here when they played USC.
Okay.
Yeah,
so you were here for a good game.
Yeah, but I got here a day early, so I got to go around the campus a little bit in the facilities and all that.
Gotcha. All right. So what about Coach Moore as the head coach? Your impressions of him so far?
Yeah, Coach Moore. I like Coach Moore a lot. I got to meet Coach Moore quite a lot actually. So USC, and then he came down twice in the winter. Once he came to a workout, and then he came up again to meet with me and my family in the coach's office. Great guy, good intentions, and what he's built is very, very good. And in the time he's done it too. And he has a plan, and he's serious about his plan, and he preaches his plan. And then not only does he preach it, but he goes out and he does it. And so that's like, it's very motivating when you see, the head coach doing what he's preaching, that, that just lets you know what type of program you have. And it shows throughout the whole coaching staff and throughout the players. So he's a great leader and a great head coach.
All right, man, Coach Wink, we talked about the NFL and college teams copying what the pro teams are doing, but here you got a pro guy coming down to the NFL or coming down to college and bringing a lot of those pro schemes or pro ideas to college where they had already incorporated some of his ideas. So what are your impressions of him?
Coach Wink, I feel like me and my dad were talking about, he's a mastermind, like really he's a genius. We can look back this season, like he stopped one of the best offenses in the nation. They were able to stop Ohio State, who was on a great run, and win that game. So if you just look at his resume and what he's done with the Michigan defenses or NFL defenses, it's inspiring. Like he's someone you would want to play for, because his resume just really speaks for himself. He doesn't even have to tell you much about what he does. Like if you just look at what he's been able to put on tape and what he's been able to do for teams, it speaks for itself. Yeah.
So the plan, all of these schools are telling you how they would use you. What did Michigan say the plan would be for how they would use you? And did they show you an example within their defense?
Yeah, so when I came here for USC, Coach Esposito kind of showed me players and positions that I'd be put in. We watched a lot of Josiah Stewart and D. Moore. That's where he kind of saw me. Like we watched Josiah drop into coverage, and then we also watched him rush countless of times, and that was just in the USC game that we watched him drop into coverage and then also go after the quarterback.
He killed that dude.
Yeah,
He
was on him.
He was on fire.
That was one of his best games, and that's when I was like, oh yeah, Josiah Stewart. He's one of those ones. He's a dog. So yeah, he kind of just put on his film, and we kind of just talked about like, this is like the plan, like this is the image we have for you, and kind of got the message across. I kind of understood what he was saying, like drop back into coverage, disrupt the pass game, not only by rushing the quarterback, but getting in passing lanes, breaking up passes, stuff like that.
So as you look more broadly and you draw away from Michigan, because you got other teams that have had really good Penn State. Abdul Carter might be the #1 pick in the draft, right? So you have other teams that have done really good things on defense. How do you, at the end of the day, kind of separate one school from all the rest? What are going to be the big factors in your final decision that help you make it?
Yeah, so I feel like all schools have good programs. Like, especially schools in the Big Ten, it's a very renowned program. So just picking off a defense, it would be impossible, because everyone in the Big Ten has a good defense. So it definitely would come down to like how I feel at that school. I feel like that's why we take the visits, like, because yeah, you can have the best defense, but off the field, you don't even want to be with your teammates off the field. So like, what kind of like relationships are you building? So like, knowing that Michigan is like a fit, like I like the fit, and then also that we have a great defense, that would make me want to play more and really buy into the program. You can go to a place with a great program, great players, great defenses, but you don't really like where you're at, so you're not playing as hard as you would, or you're not giving your full effort, or you're not really on the same page as your teammates. So it doesn't even come down to the defense. I think it comes down to all the stuff that leads up to the defense being so good, like the fit and like the off the field type of stuff.
Do you, as a player, you mentioned that Ohio State game. Fans often wonder, do their emotional attachments or recruitments swing much on the outcomes of games? Like, that was a game where Michigan, they hadn't been going well offensively. They were their best player on defense. It was announced he was going to be out for that game again. Will Johnson was out. Then your best player on offense Coastal Loveland is not going to play. You're going in, it's the largest point spread differential in the history of the rivalry.
Yeah.
People are expecting Michigan to get beat by 4 touchdowns in that game. And they go and the defensive line destroys them in that contest. And it's like, does a game like that, does it impact you? Does it impact recruiting? Or is it just like, okay, that's nice, but it doesn't really move the meter with a recruit the way that it does a fan?
Yeah. I would definitely say there's some games where, you know, the way the team plays definitely would make you more interested in the team. But like even a loss, it doesn't, like, if you know what, like, you know, what they're building in the program and what they're, you know, what a team is made of and what they have, whether like from the coaching staff or the nutritionists, from the coaches, I feel like a loss or a win doesn't really move you as much. But like a win like that, where like the team was hurt, not even at its like best, and they played a great game, I feel like that kind of emphasizes what you already knew about the program. It makes you definitely, it could definitely persuade you, make you like the team more, because that was a very hard fought win by the defense, and the offense did really good as well.
So Jackson, you laid out for me the things that you're looking for here down the stretch. Now your answer to this question might be what you already gave me, but what are mom and dad stressing that you look for? Maybe you already told me, maybe those are the things that you said are the things that they're stressing that you look for, but are there specific things within your criteria that they're pushing to you the hardest that they want you to look for? Like, what are the things that they say the most that they want you to look for?
We talk about education like 24/7. Both of my parents are Penn grads. My older brother went to Penn. So it's always been educations before athletics. You know, you're a student before you're an athlete. So a place that can get you a good degree and that you can use after football, because you only play football for so much of your life. So will you be able to use this education that they give you and really put it to use after football is over and get yourself, you know, a good job and a good living. And then we talk about fit, like culture, like is this a place that you can see yourself for 3 to 4 years? Like, we're not, you know, when you commit to a place, you're not looking to like leave after a year if it doesn't go your way. Like, can you go here, and even if you face adversity, like, can you stick it out, and can you really grind here? And then we look at future, like we look at track records, we look at, you know, what they're building, like, can I see myself? Because end goal is everyone wants to go to the NFL. Every player wants to go to the NFL. So does Michigan have a track record of sending kids to the NFL for my position? Like, what have they done in the last 5 years? Like, have they been sending people to my position to the NFL? And how do they do when they get to the NFL? Are they ready for, like, out of college? Are they ready? Are they balling their rookie years, their, you know, their second, third year? Like, that track record to the NFL. How does it look? How does it hold up? That's what you look for.
So I ask this question to every guy. I'm not just asking this because mom and dad are here, but what about distance from home? I heard you talking about one of the things that, you know, that mom liked about Malvern was that it was closer to home. So what about distance from home? Is that going to play into this decision?
You know, we were actually talking about it a lot. The flight was actually pretty quick getting here. It was pretty easy too. So here, from Philadelphia, an hour and 30, and then on the way back, it was like an hour. So like, that's a quick flight, and I feel like that's a flight that definitely like manageable, because that's kind of like a drive almost, like time-wise, you know, getting from my house to Philadelphia. So it's like, it's doable, and compared to all these other places where you're taking like 3-4 hour flights, or you have to, you know, connecting flights, or, you know, go across the country, take an 8-hour flight. It's not that bad, distance-wise, in how like flight time. It's bearable and it's doable. So it hasn't really, you know, been dragging us down or anything. It hasn't really been affecting us at all, the distance.
Okay, and so what about this consideration on the list of all the guys and ladies and men that are doing recruiting now? NIL. What about that consideration for you? How much of a factor is that in your decision making?
Not really a big part, just because if I were to get NIL and if I were to get like a lot of it, I probably wouldn't be able to use it. Like, my parents wouldn't let me, so they'd probably put it away from me. So it's not like it's been driving me crazy. I know I'm probably never gonna see it. So yeah.
Yeah, Mom said that's true.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's gonna be for down the line. So hey man, as we wrap things up, I'm curious because you seem to really have dialed in what you're looking for. So I'm curious to put you in a position that I put you in earlier when I asked you to scout yourself, recruit yourself at this point, because you're in that stage where it's kind of like the home stretch almost. So if you were recruiting you, how would you do it? Are you a guy that likes persistence? Like, I want you to be contacting me a lot, to, where I'm seeing, messages from you all the time, on social media and on my phone all the time? Or do you want, a little is a lot for you? How does it work? Like, how would you be recruiting Jackson Ford at this stage of your career?
Yeah, I feel like there's no way to go wrong, but like the one thing that like going on this recruiting path is like, well, I'm still like, I'm still a high schooler, so I still have school, I still play sports, I have a social life, I work, so I don't have time to always be like responding. So when like coaches do text you like every single day, every single second, it's like you kind of start feeling bad because you're not able to get back to them in like in a reasonable time, like how they're getting back to you. So when coaches kind of like spread it out throughout the week or throughout the day, I was like, oh, that's like a lot cooler, because like I feel like we can actually have a genuine conversation because we have I'm like catching you on a time I actually do have to, because we have to put our phones in like cubbies during like the school day.
Yeah.
So I'm like, during the school day, I'm barely seeing my phone, so I'm barely seeing like what guys are saying. So like, yeah, not like no communication, but like, spaced out communication. I feel like, yeah.
Do you feel like you have a bead on who's, because I always wonder, how do guys tell the difference who's giving them a sales pitch versus who's being genuine? You feel like you have a good read or feel for that?
You can always kind of tell, and then especially when you get in like a position that I am, like I'm very blessed to be in this position. So you talk to a lot of coaches, you meet a lot of different people, and you'll start to hear a lot of the same thing. So like once you kind of know like what the normal pitch is, what will catch you is like when a school says something like you've never heard before. That's kind of when you know like, oh, that's unique, and maybe that's coming from the heart, or that's how you really feel about yourself, because everyone wants to tell you like, oh, we're the top in this and this and this, and like we sent this amount of people to the like league, or we have like the best facility, and every school has the best facility in the thing, but it's kind of what you do with your best facility. So you can kind of see after talking to a lot of coaches which one is unique or heartfelt.
Yeah, man, this is the last one to wrap things up. Like I said, you have this mapped out. Very impressed with how you've processed your recruitment to this point. Seems like you have your goal in mind. You have all your OVs figured out. Mm-hmm. Like, so who are your OVs gonna be?
At the end of April, we're going to Stanford, and then we start in end of May, start of June, we're going to Wisconsin, then Penn State, then USC, and then in between Penn State and USC during the weekday, we're going to Kentucky, and then our last official visit is Michigan.
Gotcha. And then your timeline for making your decision is when?
Definitely like that end of June or the early start of July.
Yeah. So again, you have your plan that buttoned up. You've been using the word blessing. You are blessed to have processed your recruitment this way. You don't get there by yourself. You have a great support system. So this is your opportunity to pay homage to, show some love to, shout out that whole thing to the people who helped you get to this point, man, because I can tell that grind is one that they've helped you with.
Most definitely, yeah.
So go for it.
I'd like to shout out my mom, my dad, and my coach, all my coaches, honestly, from Little League to high school. I feel like they shaped me not only the player I am, but the man I am, that, hold myself to a high standard. So my mom, my dad, they've made me who I am, and my coaches, they kind of enforced it on me throughout every sport I've played, whether it be football, baseball, soccer, tennis. I feel like they've made me into the player and the man I am today, so I'm forever, grateful and blessed.
All right. As we wrap things up, the inquiring minds want to know, as you leave this visit, did they help themselves with this visit, or are they about where they were coming into it?
No, they definitely helped themselves. We really, as a family, we've enjoyed the visit. We've seen more than we saw at the USC game. It was a game day, so we weren't able to see everything. So just getting to visit and be able to see everything and kind of getting a more in-depth explanation about some stuff really helped. We liked it a lot.
Jackson Ford, appreciate your time, man.
Thank you for having me.
And that'll do it for another edition of the Michigan Recruiting Insider.